Unexpectedly, I found myself 7 years into the future. I realized the school beauty who had always hated me was now my wife. She clung to me every day, asking for kisses. So after I returned to the present, I quickly confessed my feelings to her. However, the school beauty from my teenage years looked at the obvious kiss mark on my neck and with a cold tone said, "You already have a girlfriend, so don't come bothering me." I was speechless and turned to leave, but she grabbed my hand again. Her expression shattered as if she were broken. "Don't you just want me to be your secret lover? If you coax me a little more, I'll agree. I ate too much for dinner, so I lay on the bed playing with my phone. I played for a while, then drifted off to sleep. When I opened my eyes, I was staring at a strange ceiling. I fell into deep thought. The most terrifying thing was when I climbed out of bed and looked around. I noticed a huge wedding photo on the wall. The main characters were, to my shock, me and Liu Ruyan. In the photo, she was wearing a pristine white wedding dress, smiling brightly, and affectionately holding my arm. I was dressed in a black suit, gently looking down at her. If you ignored the fact that she and I were sworn enemies, this could be seen as the perfect couple. I couldn't help but kiss her twice, and sighed, "What a perfectly matched couple." At this moment, I only felt that the mushrooms I ate at dinner were poisoned, leading me into these strange hallucinations. Just as I picked up my phone to call 120, I saw the date on the wallpaper. I didn't realize it at first, but when I did, I was shocked. I had somehow traveled 7 years into the future. Just as I was stunned, the bedroom door suddenly opened. Liu Ruyan walked in, revealing herself. She looked different from what I remembered. She was wearing a white dress, her aura now more mature than back in college. She exuded a more charismatic presence. Noticing my gaze, Liu Ruyan's originally cold and aloof face softened instantly. In just a few steps, she crossed the room and hugged me. Before I could even react, Liu Ruyan wrapped her arms around my waist and naturally buried her head in the crook of my neck, playfully calling me husband with a kiss. "I worked late today," she said. "Did you miss me?" Before I could answer, she murmured to herself, "I really missed you. I missed you so much I couldn't even focus on the contract." I was stunned. Was this really the same school beauty who was always so cold and proud? I blinked. A bit uneasy, I pushed her away. But to my surprise, Liu Ruyan's beautiful eyes immediately welled up with a faint layer of tears. She furrowed her brows and with disbelief said, "Fang Yuan, you actually pushed me away. Are you saying you don't love me anymore? Are you seeing some other little kitten outside?" Looking at her hurt expression, I felt at a loss, so I awkwardly stretched out my hand, wanting to give her another hug. But Liu Ruyan bent down, rubbing her cheek against my palm. Her expression so obedient it was almost unbelievable. For a moment, I softened. Then I heard her pressing voice. And I knew. "Husband, you still love me. Husband, let's take a shower together." She said this while staring at me intently, her hand reaching up to undo her buttons. I quickly turned my head away. Although I could tell Liu Ruyan had a great figure, but I wasn't the kind of person easily tempted by a woman's charm. Before I understood what was really going on, I needed to stay rational, especially since she was my sworn enemy. How could I possibly have an improper relationship with my enemy? But Liu Ruyan, like a seductive demoness, came at me again. She kissed my forehead, her voice alluring. "Husband, didn't you say you wanted to see me wear a collar and act like a cat? I've bought all the props. Husband, are you backing out now?" What the hell was going on? This was making me uneasy. I was caught in a dilemma. Liu Ruyan kept teasing me, saying those words that made my heart race and face flush. I struggled internally for a second, and finally decided to give up resisting, mainly because I didn't know how to reject her. After all, according to the current timeline, we were already married, weren't we? It wasn't because I also wanted to see it, of course. Thinking this, I took control and gently bit Liu Ruyan's lips. Her eyes darkened, and she picked me up and carried me into the bathroom. The next morning, when I woke up, Liu Ruyan was already gone. I yawned, slowly making my way to the bathroom to freshen up, staring at my familiar face in the mirror. I stood there in a daze for a while. So, what exactly is going on now? From the scattered information on my phone, one could deduce that I was currently unemployed, and Liu Ruyan was the company president. We seemed to be in a marriage alliance, having just gotten married a month ago. But somehow, I had traveled 7 years into the future. Did the version of me from my college years just disappear? With all these worries swirling in my mind, I finished breakfast and decided to go out to investigate. However, as soon as I opened the villa's front door, I found myself back inside the apartment. In front of me was the closed bedroom door. Had I somehow traveled back again? I doubted my eyes. So I reopened the bedroom door and found myself back in the villa. After repeating this process 7 or 8 times, I couldn't help but let out a sharp scream. I confirmed that this ordinary apartment bedroom door was actually a portal connecting to worlds. Even more strangely, the flow of time in both worlds seemed to be the same, and the only one who knew about it was me. Before I could continue my analysis, my phone in my pocket suddenly rang. My brother, He Kong, had sent me several messages. Fang Yuan, class is starting soon. Why aren't you here yet? Did you oversleep? Wake up, the teacher is very strict about attendance. I saved you a seat. I quickly realized my precarious situation with the class. My scalp tingled. I couldn't care about anything else, and hurried to school. After sneaking into the classroom, I sat down in my seat and let out a sigh of relief. The tension that had been weighing on me finally eased, but then I froze. I noticed that sitting to my left was none other than the Liu Ruyan from my teenage years. My good brother, what kind of seat did you pick for me? He Kong, completely oblivious, was still quietly whispering in my ear. How's it, Fang Yuan? This seat is pretty well hidden, right? Look, there's an absolute beauty sitting next to you. I nodded hopelessly. This class was boring. As I listened, I couldn't help but sneak glances at Liu Ruyan. She was focused on taking notes, her eyelashes long and fluttering. Fragments of last night's events involuntarily flashed in my mind, and Liu Ruyan's flushed face, still damp with water. At the thought, my cheeks instantly turned red. Just as I was about to discreetly avert my gaze, Liu Ruyan suddenly turned her head and locked eyes with me. Her fingers were slightly stiff. Then she emotionlessly looked away, her demeanor exuding an icy distance, as if keeping me miles away. So cold. It was nothing like the clingy little kitten from last night. I pursed my lips, fiddling with the pen in my hand. In my mind, I couldn't help but think, how could it be the same person? With such a huge difference in personality at different ages? Just then, my phone screen suddenly lit up. I opened it and found that, somehow, there was a pinned contact on WeChat, and this person was bombarding me with messages. Husband, baby, are you awake? I miss you so much. I miss so much. I miss you ... The new pothas is so beautiful. Husband, what do you think? In the photo, Liu Ruyan's dress was a little long, exposing her delicate collarbones and the ambiguous red marks on her neck. She said she was sharing the pothas with me, but in reality, the pothas only took up a small corner. Most of the photo was actually Liu Ruyan's selfie. She tilted her head slightly, her captivating peach blossom eyes pulling at my soul, her beautiful profile glowing white in the sunlight. I stared, thinking to myself, how could 27-year-old Liu Ruyan suddenly appear on my contact list? And we're chatting across time and space? I also couldn't help but sigh. She really starts sending provocative photos to lure me in first thing in the morning. So I replied, mind your image. The internet is not a lawless place. Unexpectedly, Liu Ruyan instantly replied, "Is the pothas not beautiful enough? Then let me take another one." The new photo she sent was even bolder. Liu Ruyan lifted her skirt slightly, looking innocently at the camera, while the pothas still only occupied a small corner, but her body was fully visible. I was just about to zoom in and enjoy the view, when the next second, I was called on by the psychology teacher to answer a question. Staring at the 4 answers on the PPT, I absent-mindedly scratched my head, about to randomly guess, when a cold voice beside me suddenly said, "Choose 2, I answered correctly. I couldn't help but glance at Liu Ruyan beside me. It felt a bit odd. She actually gave me a hint. Liu Ruyan's gaze, however, seemed to subtly sweep across my phone. That's when I realized the screen was still showing the provocative photo. I quickly pressed the screen off. Liu Ruyan withdrew her gaze. I pursed my lips. It wasn't until then that I belatedly realized something was off. Clearly, right now, I had no relationship with the 20-year-old Liu Ruyan, so why did I feel like I was secretly having an affair right under her nose? What exactly was going on? The morning class finally ended. I was sweating and couldn't stand the heat, so I went back to the dorm, changed into pajamas, and took a nice nap. In the afternoon, passing by a bubble tea shop, I suddenly spotted Liu Ruyan. Oh right, her persona was the campus beauty at Kingping. She must be working here now. I quickly looked around. I went inside and ordered a pearl milk tea. Liu Ruyan acted like she didn't recognize me at all. She was cold and indifferent while taking the order. No expression at all. But when I got my pearl milk tea, I was surprised to find it packed with a lot of extra toppings. I found a spot to sit down and started sipping my drink, lost in thought. Liu Ruyan and I had a complicated history from high school. That year, I had just transferred to this school at the height of my rebellious phase. My homeroom teacher, knowing I had poor grades, had specifically arranged for Liu Ruyan, a junior, to be my deskmate and even told her to keep a close eye on me. Liu Ruyan agreed. So I stopped doing my homework. She would just stare at me the whole evening study session until the pressure was too much and I had no choice but to start writing. When I skipped class and went to an internet cafe, she would take leave to come find me. She made me lose face in front of my friends. When I started dating a girl from the next class, she would have daily talks with that girl until the girl couldn't handle it and broke up with me. She was stricter than even my own mom. The worst part was I had no one to complain to. After all, both my parents and my homeroom teacher wanted me to be a good student. Liu Ruyan's actions aligned perfectly with their wishes. And of course, the results were noticeable. In just 1 year of senior high, I jumped from the bottom of my grade to the top 10. I got into the university I'm at now. I thought I'd finally be rid of Liu Ruyan. But to my surprise, she chose the same university as me. The same major. We even ended up in the same class. Thankfully, we were both adults now. She didn't have the right to control me like she did in high school. But then I thought, I was already an adult during my senior year too. So was Liu Ruyan's strictness really just because of her sense of responsibility as class monitor? I slowly realized something was off. I picked up my phone and messaged future Liu Ruyan. "Baby, are you there? I have a question for you." She quickly replied, "Baby, I'm here. What do you want to ask?" "Anything you need. I know it all." I hesitated and typed a few words. "When did you start liking me?" There was an unusual silence on the other end. I could see she was typing. It took quite a while. Finally, 2 words came through: high school. My eyes widened. Then another voice message came through. I clicked on it and heard Liu Ruyan's shy voice. "High school. When you stood on the podium and introduced yourself, you smiled at me in the corner. It was such a bright smile. My heart skipped a beat. And only later did I realize that was the feeling of a crush. I chewed on the pearls, realizing that I had no memory of that scene. Yet, strangely, a sense of satisfaction welled up inside me. I always thought Liu Ruyan and I just exchanged looks. But now I found out from her own mouth that she had been secretly in love with me. This made me feel somewhat smug. I smirked and asked again, "Baby, if I confessed to 20-year-old you, would you have accepted?" Liu Ruyan replied quickly, "Of course, my darling. You know, no matter which age I was, I could never refuse you. I couldn't help but blush." This 27-year-old Liu Ruyan was on a whole new level. It felt like she was playing with me in the palm of her hand. I had to tease current Liu Ruyan a little, just to balance out the gap. It's not because I enjoyed being mischievous, of course. I waited for quite a while in the store. It wasn't until Liu Ruyan switched shifts that I finally saw him. As soon as he stepped out, I stopped him right at the door. In a quiet voice, I said, "Liu Ruyan, come with me for a moment. I need to talk to you." I thought he would immediately agree, but instead, Liu Ruyan glanced down at me, and suddenly the air around us seemed to grow heavier. His voice was low and serious. "I don't have time." I was stunned. He was supposed to be secretly in love with me. Unable to resist me, wasn't he? I felt a bit reluctant to accept this. Without thinking, I grabbed the hem of his shirt. In a tempting voice, I said, "What I'm about to say is important. Don't you really want to hear it?" As expected, Liu Ruyan stopped in his tracks. After clearing his throat briefly, I whispered in his ear, "Liu Ruyan, I like you." I thought he would be so nervous that his mind would go blank. But to my surprise, Liu Ruyan took a deep breath. His gaze dark and deep as he looked at me. His voice, filled with anger, echoed, "Are you this casual with everyone?" Following his gaze, I realized something was wrong. I lowered my head to look, and sure enough, there was an obvious love bite on my neck. "Oh no!" Liu Ruyan pursed his lips. His tone cold, he said, "Since you already have a girlfriend, don't come around causing trouble." I opened my mouth to speak, but I didn't know what to say. Should I say it like this? "Liu Ruyan, calm down for a second. This is actually a mark left by your future self. It's just that. Last night, I had such an intense time with your future self that it made your present self misunderstand. But if I say that, won't they think I'm crazy?" I was speechless. Embarrassed, I turned to leave, but he grabbed my hand again. His expression shattered. "Didn't you want me to be your secret lover? You just need to flatter me a bit, and I'll agree." Hearing that, I felt my mind go completely blank. So Liu Ruyan was actually trying to play the game of love? But I swear, I'm not timing anyone. I quickly explained, "You've misunderstood. I really don't have a girlfriend right now." Yet just then, a few messages popped up on my phone. "Hubby, baby, I've booked a table at your favorite Western restaurant. Let's go out for dinner tonight. How about it?" Liu Ruyan immediately saw those messages. And the note I had for the person on the other side. "Super clingy wife." His expression immediately darkened. Great, now I've really dug myself into a hole that I can't get out of. The atmosphere turned silent. Liu Ruyan lowered his head, not saying a word. Just as I was about to say something, he suddenly spoke. "Is your partner also a big student?" Though I had no idea why Liu Ruyan asked that, I still answered honestly. "He's already working. And he's not even in the same time and space as you." Liu Ruyan's lips curled up slightly. "Then I'll be at ease." Hearing that, I was completely confused. At ease about what? Just be at ease. But the next second, Liu Ruyan suddenly stopped me again. He pulled me into his arms, cupping my face in his hands. He looked deeply into my eyes, then, without saying another word, kissed me. As our lips and tongues tangled, there was a muffled sound. "Then if we kiss here, he won't find out." I widened my eyes, my heart pounding wildly. A sense of guilt suddenly rose. as if I were actually cheating on my partner. But Liu Ruyan didn't give me a chance to space out. His kiss was clumsy, but fierce, possessive. Only when my legs grew too weak to stand did he finally release me. After I steadied myself, I wiped my slightly swollen lips, wanting to say something but hesitating. So Liu Ruyan is this kind of man, huh? His ears turned bright red, and he didn't dare look at me. His voice laced with apology. Sorry, it's my first time kissing someone. I didn't control the force properly. I blinked. And Liu Ruyan, seeing I didn't reply, added another sentence. This won't affect your date with your girlfriend, will it? Do you want me to take you there? I shook my head. My lips were still a bit swollen, and it would take a while for the swelling to go down. If I went to dinner with future Liu Ruyan later, he would definitely notice. Thinking of this, I glanced at him and calmly said, "Are you doing this on purpose?" Liu Ruyan met my gaze, his eyes carrying a trace of quiet sadness. So this is how you see me. But I really am a beginner. Don't you feel it? Forget it after all. I'm just your lover. I didn't even have the courage to argue or feel jealous. That tone, filled with resentment, made it seem like I had truly misunderstood him. I quickly looped my arm through his, shouting, "Don't think like that. How about I have dinner with you? After all, we're the same person. It doesn't matter who I have dinner with." Liu Ruyan's expression instantly softened. His eyes curved slightly. I had originally thought that after dinner, my lips would have swollen down. But on the way home, Liu Ruyan and I, for some reason, kissed again for another half hour. And then my lips were swollen even more. I was about to scold Liu Ruyan. But when I saw his innocent expression, I sighed, and could only blame myself for not being strong-willed enough. Luckily, I had a backup plan all along. Hikong truly was my best friend. When I contacted my future self, I was still feeling a little uneasy. Hikong was like this. I have a friend. And for some uncontrollable reasons, he was dating two people at the same time. He felt a lot of psychological pressure. What should I do? Hikong replied instantly, "Bro, you're dating two women at the same time? Well, that was fast. I was caught red-handed. Will you still be able to forgive me?" Hikong comforted me. Everyone has double standards. Others call it dirty if they have 3 partners. But if a friend has 3, it's not a problem. Come on, what do you need me to help with? I felt a little embarrassed. Liu Ruyan had originally wanted to have dinner with me. Then I told him, "I've made plans to have Sichuan cuisine with you." Hikong exclaimed, "The new person you're talking to is that intense? Kiss your lips all swollen? Is she a tall girl? Ask her if she has any pretty roommates. Introduce a tall girl to me too. I'm just an ordinary guy." He even flashed his ultimate move. That was too accurate of a guess. Help, I really can't hide anything from you. Hikong, we've been friends for more than 10 years. I know you too well. By the way, I had Sichuan food yesterday. I'm about to post a 9-grid picture on my WeChat moments and tag you. Don't worry, I'll make sure your wife sees it. Hikong, I don't mind at all, as long as you're happy. But you should watch out for your wife. I feel like she has an incredibly strong 6th sense. Be careful. Don't mess things up. Hikong, if you need help, just reach out to me anytime. In times of need, I'll be your wingman. Hikong, you're truly my only brother. For the next 6 months, make sure to use my card when you buy anything. I really want to spend money on you. After chatting with Hikong for a while, I realized it was already almost 9 p.m. So I packed up a bit and prepared to head back to the villa. As soon as I entered the living room, I saw Liu Ruyan holding a wine glass, leaning against the window, drinking alone. His figure looked lonely. My heart softened instantly. I lightened my steps and quietly walked up behind Liu Ruyan. Then I covered his eyes with my hand, lowering my voice. "Guess who I am?" Liu Ruyan was caught off guard. He lost his grip on the wine glass. Most of it spilled onto his white shirt. He didn't mind at all. He turned around and tightly embraced me. His voice was sticky. "Honey, you finally decided to come home." I gently patted his back to soothe him. After holding me for a few minutes, Liu Yen released me. His gaze suddenly fixed on my lips. Before I could react, he raised his hand and gently tugged at my lips. With a jealous frown, he asked, "How spicy was that Sichuan restaurant? Your lips are all chapped." Looking at it made him feel heartbroken. I hesitated and said, "It was really spicy. Don't go eat there." Liu Yen sighed. Then he suddenly furrowed his brow. He tentatively reached into my coat pocket. With a puzzled tone, he asked, "Honey, what's this?" A small, exquisite school badge appeared in Liu Yan's hand. I was stunned. Where did this come from? Seeing me silent, Liu Yan's smile faded. He took a step back, looking at me with a dark and uncertain gaze. My eyelids fluttered. I quickly made up an excuse. Kong and I went to that Sichuan restaurant tonight. It's very close to a university. He missed his alma mater, so he went to the nearby cultural street and bought this badge as a souvenir. After buying it, he casually put the badge in my pocket. I only just remembered it. Upon hearing this, Liu Yen laughed lightly. "Ah, I see now. I thought my husband was keeping a university girl as a mistress. Then that university girl deliberately left the school badge to give me a warning. So scary, you all are like Sherlock Holmes. You all have 800 eyes on you." Fearing that Liu Yen would discover the truth, I stepped forward and embraced him, kissing him back affectionately. What's so great about university girls? They're all too childish. I still prefer a gentle woman like my wife. Did you hear that, darling? I like you. I really like you. So childish, really. Even Liu Yan, you never would have thought. He was cunning enough to put his own school badge in my pocket, though he said he didn't care. As expected, a woman's words are the biggest lie. And Liu Yan, after I confessed, his clear train of thought was suddenly interrupted. He turned his head away. His ears flushed red as he asked, "How much do you like me?" I gently touched his burning cheek, breathing softly. "I like you so much, I want to push you down right now." Liu Yan paused for half a second, then gave a sly smile, with a certain seductive implication. "Well, tonight, I won't resist. You can do whatever you want to me, darling." While looking at me, he slowly unbuttoned his shirt, as though silently inviting me. I swallowed nervously. If 20-year-old Liu Yan was shy, then 27-year-old Liu Yan was simply forward. Every move he made perfectly touched my weakness, and I couldn't resist. That night, Liu Yan told me he had to work late, so I didn't rush to the villa. Instead, I curled up on the apartment sofa playing games. My phone suddenly rang, and it was a call from Kong in real life. "Fang Yuan, your companion doesn't handle alcohol well. He had one drink at the gathering and passed out. Do you want to come pick him up?" I straightened up. Since Liu Ryan and I have been getting close recently on campus, I had already told Kong that Liu Ryan is my husband. Today is Liu Ryan's roommate's birthday. He had informed me in advance. He was going to the bar to celebrate with his roommate. I didn't expect his alcohol tolerance to be so poor. I opened WeChat. I found a jealous girlfriend had sent me a lot of messages just a minute ago. "Baby, my head feels dizzy. Baby, can you come pick me up?" "Never mind. You should be with your real girlfriend. I shouldn't ruin your good mood." Then she started retracting her messages one by one. Compared to the future Liu Ryan, the present version of him is more reserved. This was the first time I saw him call me baby on WeChat. As expected, being drunk changes everything. "Wait for me, I'll be right there." I grabbed the car keys and rushed over. As soon as I stepped into the bar, I spotted Liu Ryan in the distance. Everyone else was either fooling around or dancing. But he was sitting quietly, in the corner, head lowered. There was a handsome guy next to him trying to buy him a drink. Liu Ryan's expression was cold. No, my boyfriend will get upset. The handsome guy sighed. Alright, I guess this flower is already taken. Liu Yan, upon hearing this, seriously said, thank you. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Liu Yan, keen as ever, turned his head and his slightly tipsy peach blossom eyes lit up for a moment. He pitifully called out, baby. I held his hand, gently saying, darling, your boyfriend is here to take you home. After getting in the car, Liu Yan didn't even blink as he stared at me. His tone soft. Sorry. I've taken up your time. I felt a surge of tenderness. It's fine. Are you feeling unwell? If you're uncomfortable, I'll take you to my place. I have hangover medicine at home. Liu Yan's cold black eyes suddenly clouded over with a layer of mist. He pressed his forehead. His voice was hoarse. I feel awful. I was about to drive, but then I remembered the door to my bedroom. I quickly changed my mind. Forget it. I'll go buy you some hangover medicine from a pharmacy, then take you to a hotel. After all, that door was too much of an unpredictable factor. But Liu Yan misunderstood something. His tone suddenly turned cold, and there was a hint of grievance in it. I know. I won't go to your place. After all, your girlfriend should be at home, right? I don't want her to misunderstand you. I didn't know how to respond, so I decided to stay silent. He didn't speak either. He closed his eyes and leaned against the car window. After I dropped Liu Yan off at the hotel, I was about to leave when I heard his muffled voice. Are you really just going to leave like this? I paused, my hand still on the door handle. Rest well. Suddenly, my waist was tightly wrapped in someone's arms. Liu Yan rested his head on my shoulder, his breath hot against my skin. Stay with me a little longer. Baby, please. I cleared my throat, about to push him away. But then my phone rang. It was my wife. I hesitated whether to pick it up. But Liu Yan spoke again, his voice tinged with a slight bitterness. Baby, why aren't you answering your wife's call? I'm busy. It's fine. I'm not bothered at all. I didn't want to upset you, but you insisted. I picked up the call. A soft, clear voice came from the other end. Meso, I'm about to finish work. Is there anything you'd like for a late night snack? I'll bring it for you. Really miss you, thinking about seeing you soon. I feel more energized with the thought of you, I replied briefly, and then glanced at Liu Yan. As expected, his expression darkened. He snorted, then whispered in my ear, you can tell, can't you? That voice, it's all forced. Only someone like you, a straight guy, wouldn't notice. I almost laughed out loud. Don't say that. Liu Yan, calm down. This is my future. I tried to comfort him, but Liu Yan misunderstood. His face darkened even more. So you're protecting her, huh? He looked at me seriously. Tell me, what does she have that I don't? The voice on the other side was still coquettishly talking to me. But suddenly, Liu Yan grabbed my hand. His tone became seductive. Baby, why don't you touch me too? Am I really not as good as him? Suddenly, a warm sensation spread across my hand. I jumped in surprise. I gasped out loud. The voice on the other end was puzzled. Honey, what's going on over there? I was distracted. Nothing, I just bumped into something. Who understands the physique of Hao Ding? I wasn't sure whether I was caressing Liu Yan's face. The alcohol still lingering on his skin gave it a faint blush. He hugged me even tighter. His hot, rapid breath brushed against my ear, and it kept tempting me. Don't refuse me. Baby, you have me, that's enough. Tell him you're not coming back tonight. Baby, say something. Even though I haven't drunk, I feel drunk in this moment. Otherwise, how could I be stumbling and fumbling over my words? The voice on the other end kept going. I'm not coming back tonight. He's asking for me, something urgent. Honey, I have to hang up now. Sorry, bro, I just turned you into a tool. After hanging up the phone, I regained a bit of clarity. Struggling, I pushed Liu Ruyin away. You're just drunk. You'll feel better after some sleep. But Liu Ruyin clung to me again, like a seductive demon. His eyes were dazed, and he weakened his tone. Baby, can't you stay with me? Just for tonight. Your girlfriend won't find out. My phone rang again. This time, Liu Ruyin beat me to it and pressed the button to silence the call. He turned my phone to silent and tossed it onto the carpet nearby. As his soft kisses fell on my body, I was still lost in thought. How did things end up like this? I just wanted to go to the bar to pick her up. Forget it. I don't want to think about it. I've always said I'm a man who can't resist temptation. The next day, when I opened my eyes, Liu Ruyin was still asleep. I rubbed my messy hair, got out of bed, and picked up my phone. When I opened it, I saw over 20 missed calls. I felt an overwhelming sense of guilt. I quickly dialed back. After a while, the call was finally answered. I spoke cautiously. Hello? There was a brief pause on the other end. Her voice didn't sound as alert as usual. Hubby, baby, it's 11 o'clock. You're finally awake? I mustered up the courage to lie. Baby, listen to me. It's like this. But Liu Ruyin interrupted me. He spoke ambiguously. I know. Xuan called me and explained everything. It's fine as long as his side of things is sorted. I just woke up. My head's still a bit groggy. I responded absent-mindedly. There was a pause on the other end. Then she continued, Hubby, I'm going on a business trip for a week. I'm already at the airport. Don't miss me too much. Hey, I'm a little reluctant to leave. We chatted for a while. And after hanging up, I turned around and found that Liu Ruyin was awake without me noticing. He had been listening all along. Liu Ruyin looked at me with wide eyes. Innocently, baby, you didn't fight because of me, did you? I shook my head. He didn't notice. Besides, he's going on a business trip for a week. Upon hearing that, Liu Ruyin's eyes brightened. He caught onto the key phrase. So the next week was going to be my and baby's world together. I didn't agree, but I didn't refuse either. I just said, let's see how you perform. Liu Ruyin's performance was excellent. He was full of energy every day. Whenever he had free time, he would cling to me. After spending a week with him, I calculated the time and came to the villa half a day earlier. At 27 years old, Liu Ruyin should still be on a plane at this hour, right? I wanted to prepare a candlelit dinner to surprise him. But as soon as I entered the living room, I saw him sitting on the couch with a blank expression, giving off a low, tense energy. I was a bit shocked. What's going on? Baby, you're back early? You didn't tell me. I said while opening the curtains. Why is it so dark in here? Hubby, did you not adjust to the time difference? No response. Liu Ruyin kept his head lowered. I realized something was off. I reached out to hug him, but Liu Ruyin silently pushed my hand away. He turned his head away, but I still saw his eyes red and swollen. It looked like he had been crying for a long time. His eyes were almost puffy from it. I was dumbfounded. I directly squatted in front of him, with a face full of concern. Baby, what happened? Was work too stressful? Don't cry, please. Seeing you cry hurts my heart. Liu Ruyin wiped away his tears with a cold expression. Fang Yuan, you say you're heartbroken for me, but do you know I came back 2 days ago? Actually, I didn't know that. Seeing the surprise on my face, Liu Ruyin's gaze grew even colder. He pursed his lips. Then he asked a devastating question. So, where exactly have you been these past 2 days? Don't bring up He Kong. As far as I know, he went on vacation a few days ago. I opened my mouth to say something, but no words came out. Liu Ruyan closed his eyes and gently massaged his temples. It looked like he was really angry. And also, did you know you have a strong scent of perfume on you? The last time, that badge wasn't a coincidence, was it? And the night you hung up on me. If I'm not wrong, you were with him, right? I broke into a cold sweat. Liu Ruyan slowly opened his eyes, his gaze darker than the night, and colder than anything I'd ever seen. Feng Yuan, we've only been married for 2 months. Have I already lost my novelty for you? I want to see what's so special about that guy, that he can make you stay out all night. When I get his contact info, I'm going to have a talk with him. Oh no, I'm in trouble. I nervously fidgeted with my fingers, too afraid to look at him. I mumbled, I really can't give it to you. He's from a completely different world than you and me. If I give it to you, it'll be a disaster. Liu Ruyan's jawline tensed. His eyes narrowed with intense pressure. Are you really protecting him like this? Does his family know that he's this shameless, flirting with someone else's husband? Fine, if you're not giving it to me, I'll look it up myself. I'll find out sooner or later, and then I'll beat him up and post it online to expose him. Let everyone see what a home-wrecking fox looks like. Don't, he looks just like you. No matter who hits whom, I'll feel sorry for both of you. I bit my lip, thinking maybe I should just run away. After all, standing here would only make Liu Ruyan angrier. I could feel that I was driving him crazy. But just as I started to move my feet, Liu Ruyan suddenly grabbed my wrist. He forcefully pulled me into his arms. I was trapped on his lap, unable to move. Liu Ruyan squeezed my chin, grinning maliciously. How do you plan on getting rid of me? Running off with your lover? Feng Yuan, you can forget about it. He stared at me, and slowly, his eyes filled with tears. His voice trembled as he spoke. I won't let you go. Unless I die. I fell silent. I felt like I wasn't human anymore. Liu Ruyan was so heartbroken, and here I was feeling excited. The main thing was, when he cried, his eyes were red. Although his tone was harsh, it lacked any real threat. At that thought, I suddenly kissed him on the cheek. I sincerely apologized. I'm sorry, wife, it's all my fault. I made you sad. After saying that, I kissed him again. Liu Ruyan was stunned by the kiss. He frowned and stared at me for a long time. Then his tone softened. Feng Yuan, do you love me? I nodded without hesitation. Of course, I love you. Although I started with a playful attitude, the more time I spent with Liu Ruyan, the more I realized I truly liked him. No matter whether it was the him of now or the him of the future. As long as it was Liu Ruyan, I liked him. Liu Ruyan tugged at the corner of his lips. His voice was calm, then swear it. Swear that there will be no next time. I immediately swore to the heavens. After all, they're both Liu Ruyan, so it doesn't count as cheating, right? Liu Ruyan's expression softened a little. He demanded and also, cut ties with that 3 immediately. Don't contact him again. I hesitated for a moment. This request really put me in a tough spot. So I kissed Liu Ruyan again and changed the topic. Let's not talk about him, okay? Liu Ruyan immediately saw through my little trick. His expression changed rapidly. Finally, he held the back of my head and bit me as a form of punishment. But the punishment soon turned into something else. When I was so tired that I could barely keep my eyes open, I heard Liu Ruyan whisper in my ear, Feng Yuan, you challenge my boundaries time and time again. Because you know I can't live without you. I hooked my arms around his neck. Half asleep, then, will you forgive me? He gritted his teeth and spat out the words. Forgive you, I smiled in satisfaction. But recently, I had found myself stuck in a dilemma. Ever since both Liu Ruyan's selves learned about each other's existence, not only did they become more clingy, but they also came up with more creative ways to draw me in. Every day, they found new ways to seduce me. No wonder I said they were essentially the same person. Even their little schemes were the same. 1 minute. One of them buys me a ring to claim official rights as the main partner. The next minute, the other one casually leaves a lady's watch in my pocket, deliberately making sure the other sees it. In less than half a month, I felt like I had a headache, back pain, and aches all over. These two were too much to handle. I decided I needed to lay everything out in the open. Otherwise, constantly switching between two realities was too draining. So, I brought the 20-year-old Liu Ruyan to my apartment. He thought he was about to be the official one. He carefully asked, "Babe, should I go in? Won't your girlfriend be mad?" I didn't say anything, just gestured for him to open the bedroom door. As expected, the next second, we both walked into the villa, and 27-year-old Liu Ruyan was waiting for me to have dinner together. He heard the door open and happily called out, "Honey," ready to greet me. I took a step to the side, not hiding at all. Both Liu Ruyans froze when they saw each other. Then they both turned to me, looking confused. "Sweetheart, who is he? What's going on?" Actually, I had considered telling the truth before. But for some reason, every time I tried to say a few words, I froze. Whenever I tried to speak, I would start getting a headache. This time, I made up my mind, enduring the pain and quickly explained everything. Then I fainted. In the last moment before passing out, I heard two anxious voices, "Babe, honey." When I opened my eyes again, I realized I was transparent. And on the hospital bed in front of me, there was a man lying down. The man had exactly the same face as mine. When he saw me, he smiled slightly. "Fang Yuan, I believe you've already guessed it. I am you at 27. Due to my excessive drinking, smoking, and a regular lifestyle, I was diagnosed with liver cancer this year. And at that time, I had only been married to Liu Ruyan for half a year. Unlike what you went through, there were no external factors influencing me. I never interacted with Liu Ruyan during our university days. It wasn't until my family introduced us for an arranged marriage. After spending some time together, I developed feelings for him. After marriage, I accidentally discovered his journal. And that's when I learned that he had secretly liked me since high school. But due to his poor background, he felt inferior. He didn't dare approach me when he had nothing. After learning all of this, I couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept that I would die so young. I couldn't accept that Liu Ruyan and I had already missed out on so many years. And now, we were about to be separated again. So I begged the gods. I dragged my sick body to the temple and knelt on 99 steps, hoping that the gods would give me one more chance. Let me rewrite my own fate. Don't neglect your health. Don't miss out on Liu Ryan again. I want my past self to know how much future Liu Ryan loves me. Fortunately, everything has come true. The gods and Buddhas heard my wish. Everything in front of me gradually fades. I suddenly hear a voice, "Fang Yuan. Congratulations, you've successfully changed your fate." When I open my eyes again, I find myself lying on the big bed in my bedroom. I check my phone, and Kikyang has sent me several messages. "Fang Yuan, class is about to start. Why aren't you here yet? Did you sleep in? Hurry up, this teacher is strict about checking attendance. I saved you a spot." I jump up from the bed with a quick lunge. At the same time, I cautiously open the bedroom door. Nothing has changed. So, I've returned to the day when everything hadn't started yet. Realizing this, I hurry to the classroom. Sneaking in through the back door, I make my way to my seat. To my left, as expected, sits Liu Ryan. He is focusing intently, taking notes. His expression serious, and I have no interest in the class. I keep staring at his profile, lost in thought. Unabashedly. Beside me, he whispers in my ear, "This is class, you know. Keep it down." I tell him, I just like him too much. I can't help it. Several times, Liu Ryan looks up and meets my gaze. He finally can't take it anymore. He writes me a note, Fang Yuan. Focus on the class. I take the note from him. At the same time, I mischievously curled my finger at him. Liu Ryan's ears instantly turned bright red. I smiled, pressing my lips together. After class, while the other students were leaving with their bags, I blocked Liu Ryan at the door, not letting him leave. His voice was cold. Fang Yuan, please behave yourself. I blinked and directly confessed. Liu Ryan, I like you. I know you like me too. Let's be together. Liu Ryan straightened up. A flash of light appeared in his eyes, but then, as if thinking of something, his expression darkened again. We're not suited for each other. I tilted my head, blowing him a kiss. Where are we not suited? You like me. That makes it perfect. Liu Ryan's face flushed slightly, and he began to stutter. Fang Yuan, don't do this. Good job. That's the third time you've rejected me. I pushed him away with frustration. I'm leaving. Actually, I don't really like you. Just kidding, you're really. If you won't be my girlfriend, there are plenty of others who would. After a brief silence, I heard Liu Ryan's helpless voice behind me. I'll do it. I smiled, my plan succeeding. I lifted the corner of my lips and kissed him on the corner of his mouth. From now on, you're my girlfriend. Please take care of me. Liu Ryan absent-mindedly touched his lips, then smiled gently. He looked down at me, his expression incredibly soft. Boyfriend, please take care of me. I tightly hugged him, silently thinking to myself, this time, Liu Ryan, we definitely won't miss out on so many years, but instead, we'll go from school uniforms to wedding gowns. Long-lasting happiness.